Today, we're going to do some Lasagne planting, or in the States, they call it trifle planting. You think of trifle, you think of a lasagna, you think of layers. That's what we're going to create. We're going to create different layers of bulbs in this great big pot. We're going to start off with the biggest bulbs at the bottom, things like our huge allium globemaster, and then we're going to finish off with a layer on the top with these tiny little Chianoxter bulbs. And the idea is that they come up at different times, giving you extended flower period. So you could actually get bulbs flowering in this one pot all the way from the end of February, perhaps even through into June. Some will flower simultaneously, some will follow on from the others, but it's just a great way of getting bulbs over a long period of time in a really, really small space. So how do we Lasagne plant? The first thing you need to do is to put about 3 or 4 inches of compost on the bottom of the pot and then select your biggest bulbs to go at the base. In this case, I've got 3 of these allium globemaster. I'm just going to spread them out nice and equally on the base there. I will cover these in another layer of compost and then I'll add my next layer of bulbs. So we've got our first layer of bulbs in, we've covered them in compost. Now we can plant layer 2. And I'm going to plant these gorgeous daffodil replete. These are a pink flowered daffodil, so really different and unusual and nice chunky bulbs. So I'm going to space those on the next layer above the alliums that are nice and snug below. And just remember as well, when you're planting in a container like this, you can plant a lot more closely than you would in the ground, because you're probably not going to leave these in here forever. But of course, if you wanted to, you could leave them from year to year. So that is now the second layer all nicely put in place. So my third layer, I've decided to go for some fabulous mixed hyacinths, beautiful different colours, and also I'm going to get that incredible fragrance. So I'm going to put these in. I've got the daffodils below those, I've got the alliums below them. So this indeed is my third layer. And I'm just so looking forward to these coming up in the spring because I love the colour, I love the fragrance, and they're just such a joyful bulb hyacinths. So there we go, the third layer, all nicely pressed into position. Now onto my fourth layer, and for this layer I thought I'd use some gorgeous miniature tulips. So I'm just going to pop those in, and you can put loads in. As I said before, you can space them nearer than you normally would because chances are you're not going to leave these in here forever. So I'm now up to my fifth layer, and I'm going to be a bit cheeky on my fifth layer because I'm going to use 2 different types of bulbs. I'm going to use crocus and Chianodoxa for the simple reason they're basically about the same height and they flower at the same time. So I thought it'd just be good to have a mixed final 5th layer. So this is my 5th and final layer in place, or is it? I am going to do one more layer, but not bulbs. I'm going to finish off with bedding plants. But first of all, I'm just going to top off with this compost on top of the pot there. And don't fill right to the very top. Leave a little bit of a gap at the top. So when you water, the water can soak in and not run just over the side. Now I've just put my 5th and final layer of bulbs in, and I could leave it just as it is at the moment, but I don't want to look at bare compost all winter. So what I've decided to do as my very, very final layer is not use bulbs, but use these winter flowering pansies, and they're going to give me that instant colour right now. So I'll be looking at these beautiful pansies all the way through the winter, and then in the spring, the bulbs will come up through the middle. So that's the winter flowering pansies in. What I like to do at the very end is just give the pot a nice tap round the edge. That means the soil all falls down nicely around the bulbs, around the root of the plants. If the compost is dry, give it a good soak. Put this somewhere bright and sunny and sheltered for the winter. And then next spring, wait for the magic to happen as these different layers of bulbs give you that huge long flowering season, as I say, possibly from February all the way through, even into June. So enjoy your bulb Lasagne, or indeed, if you're in the States, your bulb trifle. 2 more bulb tips for you. Tip 1. Do you hate all those leaves on the bulbs after they're finished flowering? You have to wait months, don't you, for them to go yellow and then brown and then die down. Why not use bulb baskets? Basically, fill these halfway up with compost or soil, place your bulbs on top, bury the whole thing in the ground at the correct depth, and then next spring, remove it, and then you don't have to wait weeks and weeks and weeks for the bulbs to die down. You can just put this somewhere shady and let them die down naturally, or you can transplant them somewhere else. A really, really great way of having all the beauty of the flowers, but not all that month and month of horrible foliage dying down. Tip 2 for your bulbs. Sometimes when you buy bulbs like ranunculus, for example, they're really, really desiccated and dried out. They're not dead, they're just dormant. But if you soak them in some water for 12 to 24 hours before planting them, the bulbs will plump up really, really well and they'll grow away much, much more quickly.